and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing well. By the title of this video, you probably already know what we're going to talk about, and that is antidepressants and deciding to go on antidepressants. So click pause on this video, go and get yourself a cup of tea, like always, and let's begin. Before we start, let me just make it clear that, of course, I am in the middle of doing my mental health nursing degree. However, I am not a qualified member of staff. This is all based on my experiences of going on antidepressants. The most common antidepressant is selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, also known as SSRIs. And this is because they usually have less side effects. And what they do is that when someone has low levels of serotonin, this can cause depression, anxiety, OCD. And what these SSRIs do is increase the levels of serotonin in the brain, and therefore hopefully improving mood and also improving emotion. So that's just a very basic way of how they work in the brain. Of course, there is a lot more information on the internet. Look on NHS website if you want a bit more detail, and I'm sure there's loads out there as well. Although antidepressants helps with the chemicals of the brain, they don't go behind and look at the causes of why this is happening, and that's why doing a talking therapy such as CBT alongside with taking antidepressants has been shown to be the best treatment outcome for a person struggling with their mental health. So there's quite a few common antidepressants. There's fluoxetine, and specifically what we will be looking at in this video is sertraline. Now sertraline is the antidepressant I take. I take 100 milligrams once daily, and sertraline is one that I see a lot in my degree that people start on. Sertraline is what my GP started me on, and I've been very lucky that actually this is a medication that has been the best for me so far. It doesn't mean that it's going to be the best medication for myself for the rest of my life. It might be that in the future I can lower my dose to 50 milligrams, or I might have to increase my dose to 150, or I might even have to start a complete different antidepressant, maybe citalopram. For a nursing degree, I honestly think you need speech classes because I can't pronounce half of these medications. But I might have to go on a different antidepressant. Just because a healthcare professional prescribes a certain antidepressant, it doesn't mean that's going to be the one that sticks with you forever. Usually antidepressants take about 4 to 6 weeks to work, and what I would recommend is carry those 4 to 6 weeks out. Unless, of course, side effects are really challenging, then of course talk to your GP and everything before you stop them. The antidepressants, they can also make your feelings a lot worse at the start, so it's very important that you have a family member, a friend, or someone knows that you're starting this medication. I know when I started sertraline, my anxiety was worse for the first couple of weeks, and I was a lot more agitated. And I remember telling my boyfriend and being like, right, I may be an absolute more pain in the arse than I usually am, but hopefully only for a couple of weeks. And for me, it was only 2 weeks. I had constant butterflies in my stomach. And it just made me more anxious. And normally I would say to people, don't, you know, when you're starting antidepressants, it's okay. You want to give your brain the time to adjust. And for me, it was, you know, the constant butterflies. So if something anxiety provoking was around, I was a lot more anxious. However, if something was more excitable, if something good was happening, I was a lot more excitable, I was a lot more fidgety. The thing that I still get is my leg is constantly moving. Now that is something that was there before, something that I've got from my dad. I noticed, and actually my family noticed as well, it got a lot worse once I started my sertraline. I'm not sure why that is. It might have nothing to do with that, but because it's such a small side effect, it doesn't really bother me. Another quite prime side effect is nausea for antidepressants. So with me, I started with 50 milligrams of sertraline. However, the first week I only did 25 milligrams. of sertraline and then 50, and that was kind of to help with the nausea, and I do believe that works. I also made sure I ate breakfast and then took my medication, and I will take my medication usually, if I don't forget, at the same time each morning, and it's usually after my breakfast, so I have it with that food. So why did I decide to go on antidepressants? So if you followed my story, I've struggled with generalized anxiety disorder and since I was 7. So I was just turned 20 when I started antidepressants, and the reason I started that is because my anxiety started to have a massive effect on my mood. Now, antidepressants is something that people have tried to get me on before this for anxiety purposes, and kept on saying no. I didn't want to be put on medication. I didn't want to have to tell people I was on medication, especially antidepressant. Although if my throat was sore, I would go straight to the doctors, go on antibiotics, and wouldn't care what people thought. But going on antidepressants, especially that I was in the middle of my mental health degree, I was in second year I believe, and I was like, how can I be a mental health nurse on antidepressants? Like, but here I am, I've been on them for a year and a half, I'm like 4 months away from qualifying, and I'm doing okay. But the reason I started going on it is because the anxiety was starting to have a real effect on my mood. I was about to drop out of university. I couldn't stay at university halls. I was struggling with my social life because I was scared to go out to restaurants and clubbing, and I kept on thinking I'm not this normal teenager like everyone else, and I realised that to be able to do this I needed some more help. Now, I was already getting talking therapy, so that was already done and that was already checked off the list, but I needed something more, and that's when I decided to go to my GP and start on medication, which they started me on sertraline. I first started on 50 milligrams and I noticed my anxiety was better, but my mood was not improving. I still felt really sad. I was kind of thinking, oh no, this isn't working. In January 2020, I decided to go back to the GP and say, I think I need a higher dose. And that's when I was put on 150 milligrams of sertraline. And ever since I've been on that amount, that has worked for me. I still have the occasional CBT. I still have that. Since I went on that medication, I've been a lot happier. I went clubbing once I was on that medication. I felt a lot more comfortable. Going to shopping malls. I've been in restaurants. I'm really busy Saturday evenings. My OCD is less in the way that, you know, I need to be there on time, or if I've written it down and I'm having this for lunch, I need to have this for lunch. I'm no longer as organized in that way with my OCD. And that was the best for me. Questions that you should ask your GP before you start on antidepressants. Number 1 is side effects. Talk about side effects that you're really worried about. There are some medications that may cause weight gain or weight loss, if that's something you're concerned about. If you're concerned about nausea and vomiting, talk about that with your GP, the best way to overcome that. Also, make sure you are aware of how it may affect your driving. If you are trying to get pregnant, or you are pregnant, or if you're breastfeeding, just become aware of the interactions within that. But that is something to definitely talk about with your GP, is side effects. Another one is, how long will it take to work? Now, I think most antidepressants is 4 to 6 weeks to work. However, double check with that, just make sure, because you don't want to be coming back in 2 weeks time with, you don't really have any severe side effects, everything's going fine, but you just don't really feel any better whatsoever. You want to wait until the 4 to 6 weeks. Of course, if you feel bad thoughts are worsening or side effects are just out of control, then go back to your GP earlier. Another thing you want to ask your GP is for crisis helplines. Who do I call if I'm feeling really bad that day? Now, mental health medication can make you feel worse for a couple weeks before it gets better. And hopefully in a couple of weeks that will improve, but you just want to make sure you are aware of where to get that support. Going on antidepressants has, for me, been the best decision I made. Part of me wishes I did it a lot earlier because I've been able to overcome so much since the combined treatment of medication and talking therapies. It kind of gives you that extra push you needed to get out of your comfort zone. I still suffer from my panic attacks, generalized anxiety disorders. I still have a long way to go, but I've come a long way also. And if the reason you're not going on the antidepressants is because you're embarrassed and scared what people may think, you don't have to tell people you're on antidepressants. You don't have to say anything until you're ready to. But you should never be ashamed or worried of what other people think. I hope you have found this video helpful. If there's any other questions that I didn't answer or didn't get onto, or an issue about them that I didn't get onto, leave them in the comments, and possibly I could do part 2 of this if you are wanting to see that. If there is any other videos or any other mental health topics you would like me to touch on, put in the comments and I will do a video on that for you guys. Please make sure you give this video a like, comment down below and subscribe to my channel, and follow my journey on Instagram through my own mental health struggles, but also through my mental health nursing degree. Before you go, I am running 27 miles in 27 days for the charity Mind UK. Down below I have left the link where you can donate. For all the donations so far, I'm already above my target, and thank you for watching this video. Remember to always be kind.